Hey YouTube pals, happy spooky season. I know it's not looking very spooky in the studio here, but I did just put up Kelly, who is my paper skeleton that I created a couple of years ago. I have my Halloween spider earrings on, and I am super excited to do a little Procreate draw with me video today. Today we are doing a Halloween character drawing session. A couple of years ago I created these cute and spooky characters, which I love to bring out at this time of year. I thought it would be fun to show you how easy it is to create these cute and spooky characters, because most of them are based off of a circle shape. You can draw along with me whatever way you want, using whatever app you use, or on paper if that's what you would prefer. I'm going to be using Procreate, so let's go ahead and open up the app and get started. So inside in Procreate, I am going to start with an A4 page, and we're going to create all of the characters together on this one page, maybe turn it into a spooky little Halloween scene. I'm going to grab my favorite sketching pencil, which is the Sketch Brush pencil. This is from a pack that I downloaded on Etsy, so I'm going to put the link to that pack in the description under the video if you're interested in seeing some of my favorite Procreate brushes. I'm also going to go ahead and grab a dark gray color that mimics a more traditional pencil. We're going to start with the simplest character, which is actually the ghost, and on a blank layer we're going to go ahead and create a simple circle. We're going to use the quick actions tool, which is either pressing and holding your Apple Pencil when you create the circle and then changing it to a circle, or on your iPad you can also change the shortcuts so that this little square over here on the left hand actually becomes your quick shapes tool. So that's actually what it is on my iPad, so I can tap that little square and then change this to a circle. So this is going to be the base for our ghost. Now I've drawn this circle a little bit big, and I do have to fit 4 spooky characters on this page, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. All I'm going to do is create like this draped look over my circle, and then I'm going to add some wavy lines down the bottom, which are going to be the bottom of my ghost. So I'm going to add 2 little arms on the left and the right, and then I'm going to add my classic little smiley face that I love to add to all characters, which again is really simple to create. You start with a little smile and then just a dot on either side to create the smiley face, and then I'm going to just kind of center this to the ghost. And then something I've been loving doing lately for these kind of smiley face characters is giving them stars as their cheeks. So because it's Halloween, I thought that it would be nice to add that to some of the Halloween characters as well, and the ghost is perfect for that detail. So here is the base sketch for my ghost. Obviously we can still see that base circle that we started with, but when we come back and do our color work and our final line art, we're going to get rid of that circle, but we can leave it there for now. So on a new layer, I'm going to create the next character, which is the spider. I'm going to again start my spider off with a simple circle shape. And what I'm actually going to do to keep everything the same size is trace over the circle that I created for the head of my ghost. So I'm just going to draw around it, use the quick action tool to turn it into a circle, and it is roughly the same size. And then I'm going to just move my circle away, but it is on a separate layer as well, so I can also just pick it up and move it around. So this is going to be the base for my spider character. Now for my spider, I'm actually going to start with his little face, and for his smile, I'm going to give him a smiley face and then 2 little fangs, and then put his eyes in. I think for the spider, I'm going to stick with just the regular like little circle cheeks. Now we're going to go ahead and add in the legs. To make it easier, we're going to start with just penciling them in as lines, and then we will outline them to create the shape. So for the spider, I'm going to give him 2 little legs down here, which are like his pincery legs, and then I'm going to give him 3 more legs on either side. Now I'm going to go back in with my pencil, and I'm going to draw around those little lines that I created to kind of create some like bubbly shapes to give him some cuter shaped legs. So there is my spider's little body. I'm also going to give him some little hair details because he's a hairy spider. I am going to move him down a little bit lower on the page here because I also want to give him a cute little spider's web trail that's nice and curly. And there is my spider character ready. Next, we're gonna move on to our pumpkin character. So again, we're gonna start by, on a new layer, tracing over the circle of either our spider or our ghost, just to keep everything the same size. And then we're gonna move our pumpkin circle up here a little bit so it's out of the way. Now for my pumpkin, I want the top of the pumpkin to be slightly narrower than the bottom. So what I'm going to do is just kind of trace over my circle to create this little bit of an uneven or like oblong shape. I can actually get in my eraser here to erase some of the extra bits that I don't need. This is going to be our pumpkin base. Then we're going to add 2 little extra bits down here to be our like extra bumps on our pumpkin. And then we can kind of add in some lines as well. For our pumpkin, we're just going to give him a little curly top and a little leaf. And then again, adding in the smiley face here. And I think that for the pumpkin, the star cheeks would look very cute. Last little character that I wanted to create this year was a little bat to go with these other spooky characters. In the past, I have also done a skeleton, which my skelly here behind me is based off of, but I thought it would be fun to bring in the bat this year to kind of match the color scheme. So I love to illustrate the spider in like purple colors, and I thought it would be fun to do something similar with a bat. So let's go ahead and create a cute and spooky bat character. To make space for my bat, I've just made our other characters a little bit smaller because we were running out of space. I'm going to start again on a new blank layer. And again, I'm going to start with the circle base. I've never drawn the bat character before, so I'm not quite sure if a circular bat is going to work, but let's give it a try. I think that for the bat, the circle base for the body does need to be a little bit smaller. And maybe if we use the freeform tool, we can kind of stretch it to be an oval rather than a perfect circle so that it has like a longer body. So this is going to be the start for my bat. I'm going to again start with the little face on the bat and give him his little teeth like the spider. Again, I think similar to the spider, we're just going to give him the regular kind of circular cheeks. And then let's give him some little hands as well. Do bats have hands and feet or just hands? Do bats have hands and feet? Oh, okay, their hands kind of go into their wings, but they do have little feet. So let's stick with the little feet and take away the little hands because the hands are going to be like inside in the wings. For the wings, we want kind of like an upside down V. And then for the bottom part, we want to create that kind of like pointy shape that bat wings have. So we're going to do that by kind of just creating these little scallops. This actually looks really cute. Okay, and the same on the other side. Very cute. Then the little bat wings usually like have these little lines that go up, and then we're gonna stick with what the internet says. We're gonna add his little hands to his wings, which are not even in size, but we can fix that when we go in and do the color and the line art. Also, bats have little ears, so let's give him some cute little bat ears. And I think we can add some little like fur to him as well. And he's looking very cute. I think it would be cute to add like a little dotted line to show where he's flown from when we're finishing off the illustration. But for now, here is the sketch work for the different characters. Okay, I have rearranged my sketches a little bit so they kind of make a little bit more sense on the page as a group. The next thing I'm going to do is open up my layers menu, and I am going to grab the top and bottom layer with my fingers and then just pull them together and merge that down into one layer. It's going to be my base sketch layer, so I'm going to also reduce the opacity down to about 35%. I want to be able to see the sketches as I draw over them, but I don't want them to be too distracting as I start to add in color. We're going to start by giving each of these characters a base block color. Starting off with our ghost, I'm going to grab an off-white color because I don't want it to be perfectly white. This is a color from my branding palette that I like to use instead of white. And I'm also going to switch out my brush for my favorite line art brush, which is the script brush. This is one of the free brushes that comes included in the Procreate brush library. On a new layer, I'm going to trace over my sketches with my off-white color. I'm going to go and add in his little arms on both sides. And that's the base block color for the ghost. On the same layer, I'm going to add the base block color for the spider as well. For the spider, I like to do it in this light lilac color. So again, I'm going to start with the main part, which is the circle. I'm going to use my shape tool to make sure that it's a perfect circle and fill in that. For the legs of my spider, I'm actually going to turn the size of my brush way up. And just draw over the little lines that I did with a really thick wide brush. Okay, that is the base block color for my spider. Let's move on to my pumpkin. For my pumpkin, I want to obviously go with it in orange. Loosely draw around the lines that we created here to try and refine them a little bit. And fill it in. Okay, I feel like the shape of the pumpkin is looking a lot better now that we've added the block color. Finally, we're gonna do our bat. So again, I'm drawing around the base shape. I'm gonna use the brush just turned up a little bit wider for his little legs. Give him his little pointy ears. The only thing I'm going to do different for the bat is I'm going to add the wing shape on a separate layer and place them behind the body of the bat. I'm going to use the color picker to pick up the color of the body, and then I'm just going to drag it down to a slightly less saturated shade of pink. Then on a new layer that is underneath this layer and on top of the sketch layer, I'm going to draw the wing shape. I'm going to trace over the wing on this side because I think that the length and shape of this one was a little bit better for adding that hand detail in. So there is the wing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually duplicate this wing, use my selector tool, use the horizontal flip tool down here, and then drag it over here, rotate it a little bit. And there we go. Now I have my two wings. I'm going to merge the two wings together, but I'm still going to keep them on a separate layer to the main body of the bat. So now that I have my main block coloring done, it's time to add in the details. On a layer above our block colors, we're going to start adding in our details. Something that I like to do to help me out when I move from the base shapes to the details is to drag my sketch layer up so that it is underneath the layer that I'm going to be illustrating on, but on top of my block color layer. So now I can see my sketches, but I can also see the main color art that I've already done. I'm actually going to go and turn down the opacity of the sketches a little bit more so that I can still see them, but I can also clearly see the shapes that I've created behind them. I'm going to start with my ghost again. I'm going to go in and grab my dark gray color again, sticking with my script brush. So I'm going to draw my little smiley face. I'm going to press and hold to turn on the shape tool so I get a clean arc. And then what I like to do is grab the eraser tool and just erase the top of the smiley face on either side. Okay, then I'm going to use my script brush to add in the eyes on either side. And then finally, I'm going to grab a light pink color and do the little star cheeks. I need to turn down the size of my brush a little bit so that the details of these are nice and clean. So now I have my little ghost smiley face. Sometimes at this point I like to turn off my sketch layer to check to see how it's looking. So let's center the smiley face to the ghost, but I think that's looking nice and cute. Okay, let's move on to the spider. We're gonna stick with the same layer, grabbing our brush again. The spider's smiley face is a little bit smaller, but the process is exactly the same. For the spider's cheeks, I'm going to pick a lighter shade of lilac and then just roughly draw 2 little ovals. And then of course we need to give him his little vampire fangs. Okay, very cute. Now I want to add some little shading to the end of the legs to make it look like little socks, or like to just kind of mark off the end of the legs. So above my block color layer again, I'm going to add a new layer separate to my little smiley face layer, and I'm going to turn this into a clipping mask. Then I'm going to select the lilac color from the spider and then just drag it down to a slightly darker shade. Still using my script brush, I'm just going to go in on the clipping mask layer and add these like little bits of shading to the end of the spider's hands or legs. Again, I'm just going to give it a check by turning off my sketch layer to see how it's looking. So it's looking very cute and clean, which is what I wanted. I think we're ready to move on to our pumpkin. So our pumpkin has pretty much the same smiley face as our ghost. So to make our life a little bit easier, we're going to use our selection tool to grab this face from our ghost, tap copy, and then drag this duplicate over to the pumpkin. And then for the pumpkin, I'm going to select the orange that I had used and just select a slightly lighter shade of that same orange to recolor the cheeks, because I think that the pink is kind of disappearing on the surface of the pumpkin. Same for our bat. So we're going to go back, grab our selection tool and pick up the face that we created for our spider. We're going to copy that and then drag it over here to our bat. And then again, we're going to select the color that we use for the base. This time I'm going to get a darker shade of it for contrasting for the ghost's, or for the bat's cheeks. And then that's looking pretty good. I think I'm gonna add some little details like I did with the spider for the bat. So going to go back to my clipping mask layer and then selecting my brush, keeping that darker color that I used to the cheeks. I'm going to add this little detail to the toes and then also to the ears, I think. There are still a couple of details that are missing, but I would like to add them in using a textured brush. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the sketch layer turned off now, and coming back to my ghost on my new layer, I'm going to grab another one of my favorite texture brushes, which is called Dry Ink. This is again a brush that comes in the free Procreate brush library. So for my ghost, I'm going to color pick the color of the ghost, and then I'm just gonna get a slightly grayer shade of that same color. And what I want to do is use my texture brush to kind of just add some extra little lining and shading to the ghost. I'm also going to add like a little shadow underneath the ghost, so to give the illusion of it floating. And I'm going to keep going over to my spider, and again just adding some lines to kind of outline the shapes and add in a little bit of extra detail. I'm going to use this texture brush as well to add the little hairs that I wanted to add to the spider. For the spider, I want to add his little cobweb string, so I'm going to actually add that to a layer behind him. So I'm going to go way down to the bottom of my layers menu here, and making sure that the spider's web is behind all of the other layers. And I'm going to add the spider web in that light color that I used for the cheeks, so that everything is in similar shades of the same palette. And for this, I'm just going to like freehand a little spiral so it looks like he's kind of springing down. Again, using my color picker, picking a slightly darker shade so we can create some nice lines and texture. I think this is really going to help our pumpkin come to life. And then just lightly add in kind of the illusion of the different curves and bumps that you would find on the pumpkin. The last thing that I'm going to add to the top of the pumpkin is the little sprout, but I think I'm going to add it in with my script brush first. And then I'm going to go back with my textured brush in a slightly darker shade and just add some texture to the spiral. Because the pumpkin is sitting on the ground, I am going to add a little shadow under it as well. And finally, let's add in the details to our bat. So again, sticking with my textured brush, using the darker color, gonna add in the hairy details as well. For the wings, I'm actually gonna go and get a darker shade again. The last thing that I need to add to the bat is the little hands, because I did forget to add them in when I was doing the main color blocking. So I'm going to go back to that main layer, grab my script brush, and just add in the little arms. And again, use my clipping mask layer to add in the little hand details. I also wanted to add in that little detail of like the dotted line for the bat, and I do actually have a dotted line brush which you can download from my shop on my website. I will leave the link below, and I'm going to use that just to add the little dotted line of where the bat came from. And there we go. There is our cute and spooky Halloween characters. I hope that this video has given you some inspiration for how you can create some really cute and fun characters using really simple shapes. If you liked this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button. Let me know in the comments if you would like to see more drawing tutorials like this and what kind of characters you would like to see me create in those videos. If you want to get more creative tips and inspiration, or see a little bit of behind the scenes of how I run my creative business, don't forget to hit that subscribe button also, and join the creative community here on YouTube. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments, and I will be back really soon with another video.